Hello and welcome to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg. You know my buddy Teddy, who has been an incredible emotional support dog all week long. He's getting a little restless because I have avoided filming my Friday Reads video, which is what this is, all day. I've been fighting my own urge not to film a video, but I got some comments on the reading wrap-up that Joel and I did earlier this week that it was very comforting for people to watch post-election. And same thing with the book haul revisit that I posted yesterday as I'm filming this. Both of those will be linked down below if you haven't seen them, and if you need a little bit of distraction, I am going to use this hand, not the other one, to try to let you see Teddy a little bit more, because he's restless. So we might not have Teddy for long, but he has been a very good emotional support dog. If you want to skip to the Friday Reads, there will be a timestamp in the description box down below. Yeah, he is super restless. So, as I mentioned, I'm filming this at the end of my workday. I would usually try to film it in the morning. Just avoidance. Total and utter avoidance. That has been what's going on. But I know people have been looking for a distraction. So here I am. And I know distraction would typically not involve talking about politics. There are, I think, at least two things that I want to talk about, not related to they are related to the outcome of the election, but not in depth. The first thing I want to mention is that I am wearing a t-shirt from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention today. It says "Be the Voice," with the rainbow, of course. And the reason I wanted to wear this t-shirt today is because, for one thing, it comes from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, but also just the message. And I think that is something that we are going to need going forward, because one of the many things that I have seen since Tuesday is that immediately after the election results, the Trevor Project and a lot of LGBTQ plus support lines had massive spikes in the amount of people who were calling their crisis lines and everything to express their fears, their anxiety, and everything like that. So this is just a reminder that be there for yourself, protect yourself, and if you need a little bit of time, if you need distraction, take it. We're going to need a lot of energy. And also check in on other people, because a lot of people are having a hard time. A lot of people are very afraid for what this election means. Let's be there for each other. And the second thing about that is Barbara Kingsolver, whom I adore. I meant to grab my copy of Demon Copperhead and I forgot, and it's over there and I'm not going to do it. But I will say the Poisonwood Bible is right there on my bookshelf. I love the Poisonwood Bible. I love Demon Copperhead. I love the Bean Trees. She is probably one of my favorite authors. I feel like I need to read a little more extensively, because Unsheltered was a little uneven for me. I liked the ultimate message of that book, but she is someone I really enjoy following because she's just a very sweet and kind and empathetic person. And it's dangerous to adore someone you don't actually know, because you don't get the full picture of who they are online. She just seems to be a very genuine and sweet and empathetic person. She posted something on Instagram that I thought was really beautiful, and I think it's worth sharing in a Friday Reads, so I am going to do that. I wrote down the text of it here to share with you from Barbara Kingsolver. Truth and love have been smacked down so many more times in history before today. Truth because it is often inconvenient, and love because it is vulnerable. But truth is like gravity and carbon and the sun behind an eclipse. It's still there. And love stays alive if you tend it like a flame. If you feel crushed by unkindness today, it's a time for grieving, reaching out to loved ones, noticing one bright color somewhere in the day, remembering what there is to love. Starting with the immediate, the place and people we can tend ourselves and make safe. We can't save everything all at once, but it's still worth saving something, because there are so many of us to do it, and we are still here today exactly as we were yesterday, like gravity and carbon and the sun behind an eclipse. And I just thought that was really gorgeous and beautiful and empathetic, and kind of ties in with this message about, like, we're going to need a lot of energy in the future, and If you need to store some of that up right now, do it, because it's going to be important. And we don't know exactly how. We don't know exactly in what form it will take, but we know it will be important. And in the meantime, be there for yourself, be there for your loved ones, the people in your family. And if there are people in your life, it's so easy to check in with people. Like Wednesday, I really didn't want to engage with anything, but I texted a lot of people just to say, how are you? Or to say some simple message, because how are you kind of demands a response. I just to kind of acknowledge, like, this is a tough time for a lot of people. So we're going to need that. So this is probably the last time for a while I will really talk about politics on the channel. One, because I honestly feel emotionally drained. And anecdotally, I don't think this is incredibly important, but the more I have talked about the election, the more subscribers I have lost. Like, I'm still growing subscribers every month, but especially on videos where I do talk about the election, I notice, because if you are in YouTube analytics, and anybody who has a channel will know what I'm talking about, for each individual, they will chart the amount of subscribers. So if you get one, the line goes up. If you lose one, it goes down. And especially on videos where I talk about the election, it tends to go down, which is not typical. So I think, the message there is that people don't really like me talking about politics. I still think it's important. So that's why this is anecdotal. Like, clearly there are a lot of people who are not leaving comments. They're just disliking the videos, because I've also had a lot more dislikes than usual. And I've also had a much larger amount of people unsubscribing since I've been talking about the election. Again, it's anecdotal because I still think it's worth talking about politics. The comments I have gotten have been from people who have said things like, you should separate the personal from the political, or you separate your channel from the political. Well, reading is political, and just life, everything you do involves politics. That's my belief. So that's the anecdotal thing. But for my own mental, emotional well-being, because there, in addition to the election, we do have a very beloved friend who is not doing well. We sort of referenced it a couple of weeks ago, and that has been continuing to go on in the background. So there's just a lot of stress, even that doesn't involve the election. So for myself, I think I'm not really going to talk about the election or politics or anything like that. But I did think this in particular was an important message to address today. I loved what Barbara Kingsolver said, so I thought that would be a very good thing to get out today. And I'm here to try to offer a distraction, but here I am harping on politics, and I just... One thing I have loved is the amount of support and the supportive comments, and from people I have completely fallen behind on responding to comments, but I have seen them, and all of the support and people saying thank you for the videos. I think that's something else that we are really going to need going forward. We need this community, we need support, and to let people know we are here, we hear you, and we see you, and we support you, and somehow we will get through this. So with that, I will probably be leaving politics alone for a while. And again, the majority of that has to do with my own headspace right now. And I appreciate the understanding for that. I will still continue to try to push out videos and offer those distractions, because I know people will need them. I honestly will need the distraction. Today, I just felt avoidance. Today was my day where I just felt like especially since I knew I wanted to talk about these things in the beginning, it was just a matter of avoidance for me. But I think the distraction will be good for me. And the other thing to talk about before we get into the actual Friday reads, which is going to be pretty dismal, I will tell you right now, is that the Booker Prize will be announced next week. And I had been hoping before Tuesday to focus in a little more, talk about the finalists and make that a big focus of the video. And then, Tuesday happened. I do still want to talk about it because I don't do formal predictions for the Booker. I leave that to a lot of other people. And I don't read the long list. I don't read the shortlist. I kind of pick and choose. Although I have read more of the long list and shortlist this year than I have in past years because I attempted Orbital. I have read James. I read The Safekeep. And at this point, I am completely blanking on the other books that have been... Stoneyard Devotional. I have not read that one, but I would actually be interested in that. That one has not been released in the United States, but I'm willing to bet that it is going to be published here if they have not announced a date right now. I just, everything going on and gestures at the world. I have not had the time or the bandwidth, mostly the bandwidth, to really think about those things or, dig in deep. So I will still talk about it. I think, because I think my prediction right now is the same as it was when the shortlist was announced. I think, and I should have picked it up. Again, I'm scattered this week, so forgive me. James by Percival Everett, I would say, is the front runner for the prize. I think all of the other books are sort of chasing after it. I think it would be a good winner of the Booker Prize. I think I struggled a little bit with the ending of the book. The more that time has passed, the more I have really appreciated what it does. And the parts of the book that stood out to me as good are the parts that have really stayed with me over time, the things that are really interesting about it and the subversions of Mark Twain's story. That is what has stayed with me much more than my quibbles with the way it ends. And honestly, being a subversion of Huckleberry Finn, I'm not sure it really could have ended any other way. There's certainly an interesting discussion to have about that. It's incredibly difficult to get into without spoilers, so I will not be having it on my channel, at least not anytime soon. But it definitely prompts discussion, and I think that is one of the key points of James by Percival Everett. So I still think it's the front runner. I do still think it will win. It is interesting that when all of the finalists are women except for Percival Everett, that the man is the front runner. However, I really don't think you can argue with the quality of James and that it would be a worthy winner that would stand up with the rest of the Booker winners and really fit in and probably, I think, even be one among the stronger winners of the prize. Although I haven't read all of them. I probably haven't even read a significant amount of the Booker winners. That's why the Pulitzer is my thing. But I really do enjoy following the Booker Prize. So I still think James is most likely to come out ahead. So I actually just got a phone call and it was about that friend. So I had to take it. And now I am trying to remember where I had left off. I think if there is a dark horse contender or like a threat to James winning the Booker Prize, it is Stoneyard Devotional by Charlotte Wood. As people have been reading the long list and the short list, I've seen a lot of really positive responses to that. And it kind of does feel like in recent years, the Booker Prize has gone to books that were a little bit lesser known when the long list was announced and that people started to enjoy and really build enthusiasm for along the way. I'm thinking of the Seven Moons of Molly Almeida. That was a book that most people were unfamiliar with when the long list was announced. And then as they started reading the long list and the short list, enthusiasm for it really built. I feel like last year, a lot of people were maybe vaguely familiar with Prophet Song, but a lot of people hadn't read it. That was a book that really built enthusiasm as the sort of competition wore on. It's weird to call it a competition, but I guess it is actually a competition. So there you go. And some of the books that had been seen as heavy contenders or heavy favorites last year, like Sebastian Barry or Tan Tuan Eng, fell by the wayside when the shortlist was announced. So I think there's definitely room to make an argument that Stoneyard Devotional could win, but I will not be... I think it could happen. The more I'm talking about it, the more I am convincing myself that there possibly is a case to be made for Stoneyard Devotional. But I think it's more likely to be James. So I think if I'm going to make a prediction right now, and I kind of put myself in the position where I am, I'm going to say James. It feels like the safe money is on that. But I really won't be surprised if Stoneyard Devotional does end up making it. Editing Greg is jumping in again, looking awful right now. But I wanted to tell you that I did look into it now as I am editing the video. And Stone Yard Devotional will be released in the United States in February of 2025. So I will have affiliate links to all of the books I talk about in this video down below, and there will be an affiliate link for Stone Yard Devotional now, but that one will be a pre-order. Right, Teddy? Are you right? Oh. All right, back to the rest of the video. And then I pulled up the rest of the shortlist just as a reminder. I think Held, Orbital, and Creation Lake have been sort of cilantro books. That is to say, very love it or hate it books. There have been people who read them and thought, this is brilliant, I love this, especially Orbital. And there have been people who read them and just hated them. And I DNF'd Orbital, as I mentioned. It was just, given the feedback that I'd heard about it, and then once I started reading it, I just was not into the style. It does a lot of lists, and I am not a fan of books that are a bunch of lists. So I feel like if the Safekeep, Orbital, or Creation Lake, or even Held, if any of them emerge as the winner, I think there are going to be a lot of unhappy people. But if James or Stone Yard Devotional win, I think there will be a lot of people who will be really enthusiastic about it. So that is my Booker prediction. I would love to hear what you think might win in the comment section down below. Let me know. So moving into the actual Friday Reads portion of the video, you can guess my reading life has been a mess this week. Just a mess. The bright spot is that I finished Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This was the book that I was listening to on audio. And Joel and I talked about it in our wrap-up because he actually finished it in the month of October and I started it in November. And I think I can't remember how far along I was when I talked in my last Friday Reads, which will also be linked down below. But Abby Jimenez has done it again. The one thing I will say is that of the 3 books in the series so far, and again, I forgot to pull the other 2 books. So I read Just for the Summer first, but Just for the Summer is the 3rd book in this series, and then went back and did Part of Your World, which is the 1st, and now I did the 2nd book, which is Yours Truly. So of those 3, I think I would say that Yours Truly is probably running in 3rd place. Just for the Summer, the one I read first, is probably still my favorite, although Part of Your World really does give it a run for its money. And I think the potential weak point here, especially if you are like me and have read Just for the Summer first, is that Just for the Summer, the premise is you have Emma and Justin, and they agree to date for the summer, hence the title, because they feel like their friends tease them. They don't feel like their friends tease them. Their friends do tease them because every time they date someone, as soon as they break up, the other person meets the love of their life and gets engaged very quickly. So the friends start teasing them that there's a curse. So they decide, let's just date for the summer. If there really is a curse, we'll break up at the end of the summer and at least one of us will meet our one true love. And, if otherwise, no harm, no foul, we just tried. So it's sort of like a fake dating scenario where, like, when they make this agreement, they don't really think they're going to be dating. And this is essentially a fake dating book. The premise is you have Brianna, who is the best friend character in the first book, Part of Your World. She moves to the foreground in this one. And I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this without giving spoilers for Part of Your World or spoilers for Just for the Summer. And I think I'm just going to be a little bit vague on details. But she's feeling stressed because she is competing for the chief of emergency medicine position. And a new doctor comes to the hospital named Jacob, who has been the chief of emergency medicine at his previous hospital, but he switched hospitals now. And the way this is framed to her is that we don't want to make a decision now because we want people to get to know him. And of course, that's kind of offensive to her. But they end up being friends. What I mentioned in either the reading wrap-up or in my last Friday Reads, my brain is like scattered. I really appreciated that they sort of get to know each other through letters, kind of hence the title. Although once you get to the letter that gives you the title, my heart just like would like to burst. It's beautiful and emotional. Abby Jimenez really did it again. And when I say that this one is running in third, it's still really good. Like, third place in this series is still leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of other romance series, or just series in general, a lot of books in general. So, but they agree to fake date after dealing with these letters because Jacob is doing a favor for her. I won't get into it. And basically, his brother is marrying Jacob's ex-girlfriend, and his family is super concerned about how he's feeling about this, and he struggles with anxiety. I can relate. And it's making him anxious that he has to constantly tell people that he's fine. So Brianna agrees to fake date him so they will leave him alone. And it ends up being this really sweet book. But it is sort of like a fake dating thing. And given that I had read Just for the Summer first, it kind of felt a little familiar in terms of that. But where it goes is just so sweet. And the connection between the people is chef's kiss, beautiful. I loved it. So Abby Jimenez did it again. She will have a book coming out in April. I think it's April of next year. I'm thinking about exploring her work further and going back. She wrote other books in a different series before she started this Part of Your World series, which is the one that gave us Yours Truly and Just for the Summer, and which will include the book that is coming next year. So I might try some more of her books because I just really appreciate the connection between these people and the things that they go through and the things that they struggle with and the way their connection helps them deal with those things. That is something that I really value in the world, is what I found with Joel. And I loved it. I really enjoyed this book a great deal. I finished it on Monday, and I've been sort of riding the waves of the good vibes that I got from this book all week. Obviously, well, not obviously, but you can guess probably that I have not been doing reading since Tuesday. And that includes audiobooks. Like, I have not even picked what my next audiobook is going to be. And I still, at this moment, don't know what it will be. I think I need some of the cinnamon bun vibes from this, so I'm probably going to pick something maybe tomorrow that will be in the same vein and help me cope, especially since I am still reading Salamlik by Khaled Al-Ismail, translated by Larry Price. And I'm really liking this book, but I haven't made much progress. Like, I think I got a little further over the weekend after we talked about it in my last Friday Reads video. But I haven't picked this book up since Monday, and that is entirely because of stress, anxiety, avoidance, numbness. I think what I'm feeling right now is mostly numbness. So I really want to finish this book. I don't want to put it down. There are elements of the premise that are difficult. So basically you have Farhat, who grew up in Syria and begins to explore his identity as a gay man in bathhouses in Syria. And in the more close to the present day, he is in Sweden living as a refugee. And it sort of, I don't know how autobiographical it is, but that does kind of at least parallel the life of Khaled Al-Ismail, the author. And it's a really interesting and thought-provoking book, and I am loving it. I don't want to put it down, but it's going to take me some time to get through this, which takes me to the next thing, which is that in my last Friday Reads, I said that once I finish Salamlik, we could do a group read of The Snow Child. And when I say a group read, I'm trying to, no pressure myself. So basically, I would post on the community tab on my channel and on an Instagram story that I had finished Salamlik and was ready to start The Snow Child by A1 Ivy. And obviously, since I haven't picked up Salamlik since Monday, that has gotten pushed back. And I don't know how long it will take me to finish Salamlik. I am not going to pressure myself to read quickly in present circumstances. I'm going to allow myself some time and some grace to cope. And I will still plan on doing The Snow Child next once I finish Salamlik. But I don't know when that is going to be. I will try to do it in November. So if you are one of the people who was going to jump on board and you want to get started, get started. I will try to do The Snow Child in the month of November, and we can catch up. Like, no pressure. That is really what I wanted to do. The reason I don't typically do group reads is exactly this, because I'm a mood reader. Things happen in life and in just sometimes when I finish a book, it makes me in the mood for something different than what I thought I was going to be in the mood for. So I don't like to commit to these things, and I hate to disappoint people. So I'm sorry if you were hoping that by like this week we would be starting The Snow Child. If you want to dive in, please do. My intention is to read it this month. I'm just going to give myself a little bit of time to finish Salam Lick first, and I'm not going to pressure myself to do it quickly. So I will still plan on doing The Snow Child first. I think I'm going to try to balance my life by doing Cinnamon Bun audiobooks. That's going to be the plan. And we'll see how that goes. Teddy came back in and he's just lying on the ground because he knows it's his dinner time. So I'm going to have to give him a quick walk and then feed him before because it's getting dark early. That's annoying. So anyway, that's life right now. That is where I'm at with reading. And if you're struggling, that is valid. If you are feeling emboldened, that's valid. And emboldened to, face what's coming is what I mean. That's valid and good for you. I'm not there yet. But we're all here for each other. Let's support each other. Be the voice. And I will be back next week for the Booker Prize reaction. Let me know what you think will win in the comment section down below. As always, I really appreciate your time. I'm very relieved that people have appreciated these videos this week and the distraction, and I have appreciated the comments even though I'm so far behind and I don't know if I'm going to manage to catch up. But I have seen them all, and thank you. So, as always, I really appreciate your time, and I will be back until next time. Happy reading.